There's a moment that feels very familiar every morning. You finish brewing your coffee. The aroma still lingers in the kitchen. Then you look down at the dark, wet coffee grounds sitting at the bottom of the filter. Your hand pauses for a few seconds over the trash can. Do you throw them away or keep them? If you've ever tried composting, you've probably heard people say coffee grounds are too acidic, too hot, or that they'll ruin your soil. So to be safe, you make the most familiar choice. You toss them out. But that tiny moment repeats itself every single day in millions of kitchens. Organic waste, something that could have fed the soil, is buried, burned, or turned into an environmental burden instead. Bad smells, flies, trash bins filling up faster, higher waste collection costs. It all starts with very simple daily choices. I used to be just like you. I failed with soggy, smelly compost piles, simply because I misunderstood one very common ingredient. Until I realized this, the problem wasn't the coffee grounds. The problem was the mindset. And when the mindset changes, waste starts turning into a resource. No advanced technology needed, just the right understanding of conditions. Much like AI only becomes powerful when it's fed clean, accurate data. If you're living in a high-tech era but still struggling with kitchen waste every day, this story is for you. The story inside the compost pile. When you understand it correctly, everything starts moving fast. Coffee grounds, from troublemaker to the key that unlocks everything. Have you ever heard someone say, "Don't put coffee grounds in compost, they make the soil too acidic"? I've heard that line countless times, and for a long time I believed it, until I started asking a simple question. Why do large farms and professional composting systems use so much coffee waste? A friend of mine who works in a soil lab once said something very simple. Coffee is acidic, but used coffee grounds aren't what you think anymore. When coffee is brewed, most of the acids end up in the cup you drink each morning. What's left behind has a pH that's nearly neutral, usually around 6.5 to 6.8. That's a safe zone for soil microbes. But the most important thing isn't pH, it's nitrogen. Coffee grounds contain more nitrogen than most people realize. About 1.5% nitrogen may not sound like much, but in the compost world, that's valuable. It places coffee grounds firmly in the green category, materials that fuel microbial activity, not in the brown category, as many people mistakenly believe. And that misunderstanding ruins a lot of compost piles. People treat coffee grounds like a dry material, then add more wet kitchen scraps and completely forget about carbon. The result? A soggy, compacted, smelly mess. Not because coffee grounds are bad, but because we assign them the wrong role. Composting is not about waiting, it's about designing conditions. Have you ever thought composting was just waiting? 3 months, 6 months, maybe even a year. I used to think that too, until I understood something very basic. Microbes don't care how long you wait. They care about the conditions you create. Think of it this way. AI doesn't become smart just because it exists for a long time. It becomes powerful when it has the right data, enough computing power, and the right environment. Microbes in a compost pile work exactly the same way. When 4 core conditions come together, decomposition accelerates in a way that might surprise you. The first condition is the carbon to nitrogen ratio. This is the language microbes understand. Carbon provides structure and breathing space. Nitrogen provides energy, growth, and heat. Miss either one and the system breaks down. The second condition is oxygen. Aerobic microbes need oxygen just like we need air. When the pile becomes compacted, oxygen can't get in. Aerobic microbes shut down, anaerobic ones take over, and that's when bad smells begin. The third condition is moisture. Too dry and microbes go dormant. Too wet and oxygen gets pushed out. The ideal moisture level feels like a wrung-out sponge, moist but not dripping. The fourth condition, often ignored, is mass. A compost pile needs to be big enough to hold heat. No hot compost. No hot compost, and everything slows way down. Once you understand that composting is about designing a small ecosystem, not throwing waste into a pile and waiting for magic, your entire mindset shifts. The black gold 72-hour formula. Simple, but not casual. I remember the first time I tested this formula, not because it was complicated, but because it demanded discipline. 3 ingredients, no more, no less. First, a strong nitrogen source. Used coffee grounds. Not bone dry, but not soaking wet either. This is the engine that drives heat. Second, carbon. And I chose shredded cardboard. Why not dry leaves? Because cardboard is easy to find, consistent, highly absorbent, and creates lots of tiny air pockets. It acts like the skeleton of the pile, keeping everything from collapsing. I use roughly 2 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen by volume. No need for extreme precision, but don't rely on intuition. Intuition is the enemy of hot compost. Third, finished compost from an old pile. Not for nutrients, but to inoculate microbes. Just like yogurt needs a starter culture, a new compost pile needs a biological kickstart. With microbes already present, decomposition begins immediately. That's it. No additives, no fancy products, no expensive activators. The first 72 hours, when microbes work non-stop. Picture the compost pile as a living factory. Each layer you add activates a production line. Cardboard, coffee grounds, finished compost, layered, not randomly mixed. From the very first hours, microbes start consuming nitrogen. Heat is a byproduct. After about 12 hours, if you did it right, internal temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius, 122 degrees Fahrenheit. I've measured around 57 degrees Celsius, 135 degrees Fahrenheit in successful piles. After 24 hours with proper oxygen, temperatures can reach around 63 degrees and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the sweet spot. At this range, weed seeds are destroyed, pathogens are suppressed, and decomposition happens fast. But heat doesn't maintain itself. You have to turn the pile. Day 1, day 2, once per day. Not just because, but to push oxygen deep inside. Oxygen is invisible fuel. Without it, the factory shuts down. Here's something interesting. When you open a properly managed pile, the smell isn't garbage. It's forest soil, warm, clean, earthy. That's the clearest sign aerobic microbes are in control. Pile size, miss by an inch, miss by a mile. Many people in cities tell me, I don't have space, I compost small. I understand, but physics doesn't adjust for convenience. A pile that's too small can't retain heat. The minimum size I recommend is roughly 1 meter by 1 meter. It sounds big, but that's the threshold where heat generation exceeds heat loss. Smaller piles still decompose, but slowly. Temperatures don't rise high enough and you fall back into the waiting game. This is the most common beginner mistake. Everything else is done right, but this physical factor gets ignored. And then people conclude, composting is hard. It's not. The system just wasn't built to run fast. When waste starts changing its shape after 72 hours, the first thing you'll notice is volume reduction. Materials that once looked separate begin blending together. The color darkens. The texture becomes loose and crumbly. Most importantly, the smell changes. No sourness, no rot. Just the smell of soil. That moment always feels good to me because it marks a transformation. Waste is no longer waste. It's become a resource. From here, you can cure it longer or use it to improve soil. Either way, you've already passed the hardest stage. System activation. From a small compost pile to big thinking in the AI era. I believe composting is more than gardening. It's a way of thinking. When you look at coffee grounds and see a problem, you throw them away. When you see a resource, you design a solution. In the age of AI, people talk endlessly about optimization, data, and systems. But right in your kitchen, there's a living system waiting to be redesigned. Less waste, lower emissions, healthier soil, cleaner food for your family. You don't need to be a tech expert to live intelligently. Sometimes, all it takes is understanding a handful of coffee grounds. When a small habit changes the way we live. After many years working with compost, what stays with me isn't the exact temperatures, carbon ratios, or whether 72 hours is truly magical. It's this. Every big change starts with a small habit, repeated daily. When you build the habit of handling kitchen waste consciously, You're not just cleaning your kitchen, you're reducing landfill waste, cutting odors, lowering fly problems, and easing invisible pressure on the environment around you. Every handful of coffee grounds you save, every piece of cardboard you shred, each is a conscious decision, like choosing healthier food or taking a few minutes to move your body each day. The beautiful thing is, soil responds quickly to kindness. When soil is fed properly, plants grow stronger, face fewer pests, and you begin to trust the food you grow yourself. That sense of control feels different. You're no longer just consuming, you're regenerating. In the AI era, where everything aims to be efficient and sustainable, home composting is a low-tech but incredibly smart solution. It turns waste into resources, habits into long-term power, and a small kitchen into the starting point of a truly green lifestyle. If you found value in this, stay with the Compost channel. Subscribe, follow upcoming videos, and let's build a more sustainable way of living. Step by step, starting with what you were about to throw away today.